You are watching a Fact TV presentation of the town of Swanzey.
I am, sir. I will call the meeting to order. Welcome to the new everyday room for the Board of Selectmen, Planning Board, and Zoning Board. It's exciting to be up here in the historic hall. So we'll start the meeting by pledge of allegiance led by Raffle.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our minutes are not in our agenda, so we'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Is there anything to add, Megan, Alex? Everything's in here? Yep. Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Public input.
We've got a couple of things, Bill. Unfortunately, we had to be here last week with Jeanette tore a muscle in her stomach and been taking care of her. I did listen in and heard you mention about the master plan. I want you to be assured that most of us on the planning board do have the master plan back of our heads when you write zoning and look at things like that. The last time it was adopted was 2022. We started in 2019. We went to Southwestern Planning, and they helped us with it. We did surveys for people, sent all. We got back about 400, covered a variety of things. So we understand on the planning board what people are thinking, what they want. And also, we did a corridor study. I'll show you where we're at one too, to try to improve the safety on that corridor.
Route 10.
Route 10.
Anyone? Thanks. Anyone else? Lisa.
Hi. I'm here about the Crescent Bridge. I know it's a shock. Looking for some updates. Wondering if we have a count maybe from the police chief as to how many warnings or tickets they've handed out, if any. I would say overall, it's better. There aren't as many big trucks going over it, but they're still going over every day. I have stopped sending pictures because when it was so cold, it just drained the life out of my batteries. But I have noticed that anytime anything goes on with the bridge, people report it to me instead of police. I'm not sure why, but I get Facebook messages and, you know, this truck is coming your way, or I took this picture. Don't tell me. Tell the police. The police came to me Sunday because something happened on the bridge and they figured I would know what was going on. I didn't know, I wasn't home. But apparently there were two cars that met in the middle of the bridge and each thought they had the right of way, so each decided they were going to sit there. So that happens. I'm wondering...
So we can get an answer for you.
That I'm wondering if we can start getting some real enforcement out there. Have the police sit there and actually pass out tickets. Don't tell everybody when it's going to happen and not make it 10:30 on a Sunday morning, but have them get out there and do it. Because the biggest ones that I see going through now are locals. There are local guys with Sanders on their trucks.
Say local?
Local people. NAEC, N-A-E-C-K, they were over it yesterday at 4:05 with their dump truck. They go over it almost every day. Arlington Paving, almost every day. And I know that the police chief has spoken to these people. He has told me he has spoken to them. Because every time I have pictures of them, I send them to the police chief, and he gets back to me and says, you know, he had a conversation with so-and-so, or he's having the officers talk to so-and-so, but the behavior's not changing. So I kind of like an update, you know, are we passing out tickets? Are we giving warnings? Are we doing anything?
Can I answer that because I'll take care of it. So I just want to be clarified what you want, because I'll follow up with that. So you would like to know a report report of how many speeding tickets we get out and what period of time you're talking about in the past few months?
Not speeding, for the overweight trucks on the
For
bridge.
the overweight trucks?
Yeah,
If
and
there was any
trailers.
tickets
And
sent
trailers.
out, and how many, you would like to know how many tickets were sent out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one. The second one, I understood that you said there is trucks still going over there, and you named two, and I think Bill wrote those down for me. It would be Arlington Paving and
Naya,
you have the other one. All right, I'll ask about that. And on the third question, you would like to see them take a day without announcing it and just stand there and give tickets out for a day? Is that what you're saying?
it would be nice to have some enforcement,
Okay.
so that these guys say, oh, well crap, maybe I shouldn't go over it.
Well, I don't think that's going to be up to us, the second, but I'll talk to the chief and I'll relay these things to the chief and I'll get back to you with those answers. Is that okay?
And also wondering, the cameras that are on the bridge, can you get a live feed link to post? Can you post it on the town page or a Facebook page?
That would be something we'd have to find out, Bill. I don't know if that's possible. I know we have live in the office.
I can ask, but my guess is the state's probably not gonna allow that just because of the privacy of the license plates of the cameras, and there had to be the special legislation to even allow. I can certainly ask.
And I don't think the system's capable I have access to the system, I don't think the system's capable of doing that, but I could be wrong.
We'll find out.
Well, two things we're gonna have to find out, right, Joe? We're gonna have to find out if we have permission to do it and if the system's capable of doing that, right? You want me to follow up on that? Sure. All right, I'll take care of that. I'll look into that.
I could probably take care of that easy enough with the
Well,
IP.
that would help me out, so thank you.
As Alex said, the legislature was very specific.
Okay,
It was not for enforcement, it was to discover or show damage and what entity created the damage. They were very clear, but
okay.
it's a step. I thought you were gonna bring up that wonderful I-beam photo that was.
I like that idea too. That would be great. You could put it right in front of my house if you want.
Well,
I wouldn't
one of the people that will be responsible for looking into that is directly behind you. So if you want to sign a document that says you're willing to have that post in your yard,
Absolutely.
I'm sure he'd be happy about it. I think it might be too close. But I thought it was
I think
very
it's a
attractive.
brilliant
actually,
idea.
The one that they put up. The other ones.
Was that wood or steel? What was it? It was steel?
I've seen it before, that will you eliminate your overweight, but that will eliminate the bridge getting hit by overweight vehicles.
It won't eliminate, what did you say?
Overweight, it won't eliminate the overweight.
You know, we have to have the state's permission.
But it wasn't that bad looking. That's what I liked about it. It wasn't like just a,
Right.
they put the sign on top. It was pretty cool looking, actually.
Anyone else? Anything else?
That's it.
Thanks, Lisa.
Sure.
Ashlee Crosby, welcome.
Yay!
Hey, Ashley.
You can stay where you are.
That works for me.
You don't need a megaphone.
Okay, good.
Come on up. What do I got?
Oh, I do, actually, can I hand these to you to hand to them? Thank you so much. So I'm here to do a department update, but one of the first things that I really want to show you guys that I've been working on is a corporate sponsorship package of all the different opportunities that local businesses could have to sponsor different opportunities in the town. It really covers everything from our community events to our youth programming to our summer camps to our Swanzey Old Home Day specifically, since that is a very different event than like a normal community event that I kind of put on. And I would love for your guys' feedback. You're the first eyes to see it. So if there's anything that you'd love to feedback on before I kind of make this more of a public thing to email out and send out to local businesses, I would love your thought process and things like that. I know, Bill, you had sent this to me from Jaffrey, and I met with Jaffrey, and this is our attempt at their similar brochure, but we did a lot of work for it, and we did a lot of research on just trying to get good wording and kind of enticing things to really make people understand the impact that we're bringing to Swanzey and how vital it is to have local business support to really continue increasing these events and making them a little bit more wonderful. So please take that, enjoy that, let me know what you think. I would love your feedback. But just to run through, these are just the events that have happened since the beginning of the year and the things going on before summer camp. So I'm just gonna run through these really quick. Stop me at any point, let me know if you have any questions. Our basketball program ran for 6 weeks this year over at Cutler again. We went from 77 participants last year to 109 participants this year. We are, like our soccer program, running into the issue of we just don't have the space to meet the demand almost. We can definitely fit almost up to 120 kids in our basketball program, but we're there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 5:30 to 7:30, and then 8:30 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturdays. And we are battling with space with the Cutler boys and girls basketball team, which we definitely don't want to interfere with them because we're trying to feed into them, which then also the middle school uses the space as well. And again, we're all just trying to feed into each other and figuring out who can stay up the latest, ideally. But that program is thriving and is doing fantastic. We got a great business sponsorships for it this year. We do a yearly jamboree with the Keene Park and Rec Association, which we've now done for our 3rd year, and it's kind of become like a new fun tradition where we get to go and play Keene, and we've yet to beat Keene, but we have some deep-seated need to beat Keene though, so hopefully that will come. Coaches this year, I had enough for 2 coaches per team for basketball, which was fantastic. I feel like our program has really built on itself since 2020. When I took over in 2021, we had 27 kids registered. Obviously, it was a COVID year. We were at the field house, but we've just gone from 27 now to 109 in just 4 years. So we're really growing. We've really broken the programs out to kind of model more on Keene so that we can be competitive with Keene in our jamboree. I'm actually working with them on doing a referee jamboree, a referee clinic come this fall so that both of us have equal amounts of referees for all of our games so that all of our kids are going into this jamboree with the same referee stands already. Right now, Keene has a little more rigorous reffing than we do, so we kind of go into that jamboree already with a slight disadvantage, but we're gonna work together to try to get more people certified and more people into the world of refereeing and stuff like that. So hopefully that will increase too. But that was basketball.
Do you have a list of the sponsors that you can provide us at some point?
Absolutely. Do you want me to email that all or I can share them with you?
I think putting it in public would be great, but also an email.
Absolutely. So we had for our Skills and Drills sponsorship, which is our little tiny guys there just on Saturdays. We had L&O Property Development, Reinvent Behavioral Consulting, and RRS Construction LLC. For our Hot Shots, which are our 2nd and 3rd graders that are finally learning how to play basketball and are actually playing in games and aren't doing so much of the skill building. We had MJR Painting, Monadnock Auto Glass, and Read to Me Literary Arts. And then we have our Basketball League, which goes to the Jamboree as our 4th through 6th graders. So comparable to the Cutler Elementary School's team, comparable to Keene's teams. We had Bastone's Fencing, Pilgrim Pines, and GDS Landmark as our sponsors this year.
Awesome.
Yes, and it's just growing from there, which is fantastic.
Do we send them thank you notes?
Absolutely, they all get a thank you note and they all get a copy of the team photo.
Is this information going on our website?
It is already. So they all have a thank you on the bottom page of the recreation page right now. Anybody who has sponsored any event between the beginning of January and now is up on there with their little thank you post. That did go out in rotation throughout our time period of the session on social media as well.
How do you get these sponsors? How do somebody go out?
Hi. Yep, a letter, a Facebook post, a conversation. Me talking to friends going, hey, do you know? Yeah, parents of the league. A lot of parents that want to coach and they have a business, they also want to sponsor because what better way to show your community involvement as a local business than sponsoring a team and also then coming in and coaching that team and things like that. So we see a lot of that with soccer and our basketball program. I'm not struggling for sponsors, which is the best part to say. I'm getting them when I need them, which is fantastic at this point. We've run a Schools Out program. We've put 258 kids through our Schools Out program since the beginning of September. With this school year, we still have February vacation to go. Our big hot week was February vacation. We had 108 kids through 5 days down at the community house. We have been doing single days here in the building at Wickham Hall. mainly more for convenience. The supplies for all of the programs are in the basement of this building, and I unfortunately have been injured. So to get this program supplies out of the building to the community house for a one-day program and then brought back here and put back in the basement is a lot of work. We've been using the community house though for those week-long breaks. So we had 2 full weeks in December, we had a full week in February, we'll have another full week in April, where we've been trying to utilize their building so that they have more seen to the community, and then 2, we're paying a rental fee, which comes from our registration fees and has been working well to kind of show some profit back to them. So hopefully we can continue to improve more community buildings in our town. And honestly, it's easier there a little bit just because there's the back parking lot. We're not so much on a road by a river for the kids or the side parking lot. They have more ample area to run around outside. And we had so much fun sledding down there when the snowbanks were really big this year. They had a blast with that. We ran a community Valentine's Day dance again this year here in this building. Tri-State Restoration sponsored the event and helped cover the fee for the DJ, so we only had a fee for the food that we had brought into the event. We had about 20 people here for the event, a little smaller than in past years, but it fell on a no school day this year, and I think it also was a bad weather day, so it kind of made a little less interest. A lot of feedback though on our social media of parents like, oh, I can't believe I missed it. We hope you do it again. So we really look forward to continuing that trend over the years. Personally, my kids think it's the best time of the year because they get dressed up in fancy outfits and they get to dance their little hearts out to all the Disney music you can imagine. But that went well, and with our sponsorship, we only did eat the food costs with that, which was not bad. Wilson Pond Ice Fishing Derby finally touched off after the last 2 years of unfortunate cancellations. So this would be ideally the 5th year we went to run it, the 3rd year we've actually been able to host it. We had 82 participants this year, 24 adults and 18 children. Not as big as we've seen in the past, but we played the game of we rescheduled from January because the ice wasn't ready. We rescheduled from the weekend before because the weather was bad. We had to move it to a Sunday instead of a Saturday due to booking at Keene State College. So there's a lot of juggling with that event. The people who come though love it. They really much enjoy it. The Boy Scouts ended up raising $150 selling food during the event, which was fantastic for them. They're a troop that's stationed within the Connecticut Sportsman's Club who partners with us and runs the event. I know nothing about fishing, so those gentlemen come in and do all of that. I just get to be the voice and the sponsor and the donation table person and the registration lady, and they do all of that. I never have to touch a fish. It's glorious. But it's a great event to see these kids come out to. If you haven't yet, please check out our post on Facebook with all the photos from the event and all the little kids who won some big prizes. We had a kid pull a 28-inch pike out of the water, and I want to say it was almost as big as him. Wow. Yes, it was a big one that came out. But that event, we've had a donation sitting from CNS that we received in previous donations of $1,000 that we've been using, so that event is still making profit. We have about $200 still from this year that event brought in, just from doing raffles, from local donations. The donations I've honestly had sitting for 3 years almost now, so, and I've added to it as well. So I'm hoping to continue that ball of getting local businesses who really just want to say, here's an item, let me know, type thing, which was great. We brought in the Swanzey Snowfest this year because you couldn't pass up the fact that we actually had snow this year. And I fought really hard not to have that fence on South Road, so I really needed to utilize that field. And the kids had a blast. We had Monadnock Auto Glass and JR Painting sponsor that event as well. We bought sleds to use. We brought in coffee and cocoa and s'mores. Public Works brought down the fire pit from the transfer station, and the transfer station gave us fire pit and wood. Public Works plowed the parking lot for us, so we had ample area to access everything. PJD donated a porta potty, so that obviously you never want to have an outdoor event with little children and not an access to a working potty. And it was a great day. We had, honestly, I want to say close to 50 or 60 some odd people. There was about 20 cars in the parking lot at one point. Community members were coming over, seeing how great it was to see these kids on the hill and sledding. Our assistant town planner, Stefan, stepped by. So please go check out the video of him going down the hill. It was very slick that day, but it was a blast. We had Officer Paquin stop by and roast marshmallows with the kids. So it was all around a great, wholesome family event where families came out and spent the morning with us and did some cocoa and coffee, and we'll have to keep that one going. So just pray for some snow.
The kids use the field all year long. out
Oh
there.
yeah, they do. We've just never really done anything to like amplify that, and that's why I really didn't want to see the changes that were proposed originally to that property a few years ago. And it was great because a lot of people went, I had no idea it was even there.
We usually don't plow it, but I think moving forward, we'll at least plow a short access because it seemed like every snowstorm people were out there.
Oh, perfect. Then yeah, I'm for that. Because yeah, I think anything that we can do to keep people to just hang out in town and have a little spot that they can really enjoy. And the little kids that were too small to use that bigger hill coming down into West Hill went over to the the batting cages and used the smaller hill that went down there, so it wasn't so fast for them. So it was a great day. Kickball we have going again. This will be the 4th season of kickball. We're only up to 8 kids, but I have a whole nother month of registration. That is literally a co-ed mixed level age from kindergarten to 6th grade. The big kids love it because they get to be paired up with a little buddy and they teach the little buddy how to play kickball. The little buddy loves it because the big kid wants to play kickball with them. They have reversible jerseys, they play over at Brown, and they rotate through for the 6 weeks of their program. And that's ran by volunteers that come in to help coach. And it's been a hit. It's a nice little thing to throw in the springtime because we hadn't had something in the past for kickball. We've got Sweep Up Swanzey coming. Hopefully everyone is prepared. Me and Josh have ordered more blue bags. And Joe's so ready to pick up all of the trash that everyone collects. Working with local businesses this year to collect donation prizes. Chipping Rock has already offered to donate a prize towards this. And just what we're planning on doing is anyone who texts me for bag pickup or informs a transfer station member of their blue bag drop off with their name will be entered into a just random raffle of whatever prizes we get to say, thank you for cleaning up. Congratulations, you won a raffle prize type idea. Get people out. We got a donation from Harbor Freight again for more gloves. So we hand out gloves, bags. We're working on an information sheet of what not to pick up and how to handle certain things because there are some things out there that should stay where they are or should not be handled by hands or small children or opened and things like that.
Did we make note of that for Joe and his team, or what do we do?
Me and Josh are working together on making like a post to put out of like how to safely do a roadside cleanup.
What I meant was the items that are being left, do we have a means of picking them up?
Oh, we could, yes, absolutely. I don't think in the past I haven't shared this type of information in the past, so I don't know if people are actually gonna leave stuff behind, but we don't want people opening those weird looking bottles that may have a seal on it and we don't quite know what's in it and things like that. I can definitely suggest then that they just reach out to me and we can figure out a means to handle it, or maybe even talk with Josh on what's the safest form of taking care of things like that.
And I think talk to the fire department because hypodermic needles are a big one on the sides of the roads.
So yes, I guess we can make a system where they can contact me and I can reach out to the appropriate departments on how we can handle cleanup for anything that is biohazard or things like that as well. Yes, but we're very excited. Conservation Commission always loves this one. And it always goes well. We've got great photos of kids over the years. Easter egg hunt, if you haven't seen yet, coming up, it's always the Saturday before Easter. I have spent Ashlee has spent most of the day sorting out 350 eggs into 4 different totes for our 4 different field divisions and getting our golden eggs situated. But this event draws hundreds of people to this ball field. This rivals Cal Ripken opening day, I want to say, very easily. And it's a great community event. We divide the kids up into 4 fields. We touch an egg hunt off every 10 minutes. So parents can have a chance to go to one and have a chance to get over to the other one. We're very stingent on the times. I do not start them early. I've learned that the hard way one year when it rained. We started just a little bit early and a few kids missed out, and I will never see those sad faces again. Easter Bunny comes. We take free photos during the event. We work with Monadnock Interact, who are the lovely children who stuffed 1,800 eggs full of candy and taped them all shut. They will be the lovely kids down at the field helping pass out all the eggs. They will be the one ushering the Easter Bunny in and helping take photos with families. So it's a great event for them. I attended one of their meetings back in January. It's, I guess, one of their highlight events of their year. They love coming to hang out with the kids and see the chaos. It's the quickest event we host. It's literally 10 a.m. we touch it off, 11 o'clock we're out of there because it goes bing, bang, boom. But I think it's one of the biggest events. We've been doing it for over 10 years and it just keeps growing each year. Oh yeah, I can only imagine. Because my plan is that there's gonna be 750 eggs for the little guys, 750 for the big guys, and then 1,000 eggs for our 2 middle age groups because those are just swarmed with kids. So if you'd like to watch little kids tackle each other for eggs, please. It's a show. They love it. It's great. Swanzey Townwide Yard Sale is going to be happening in May. We do another one in August. Working on registrations of people coming in and getting the maps out. We're working on getting ourselves some road signs to help promote people getting their hands on the map, and also just letting people in the area know this is going on in our town during this time frame, so that if they may not live in Swanzey or follow our social media or something, they drove through town and they said, oh, I'm going to come back if the whole entire town's going to be doing a yard sale that day. They're going to be universal signs is my plan that we can change dates on, we can just continue reusing them. It's a low effort event, but a big impact to the community to watch the 37 houses we had last year in August respond back with, I got rid of so much stuff. Like, you can't lose just to enter that and be able to do it all in one. So that is coming up in May. Camp numbers, I have 2 weeks already that are over 50% registered for. So week 7 and week 8 are over 50% registered for. We are taking 80 kids this year, which is 10 more kids than I took last year. So we're really expanding our numbers in all manners, and it's really showing the interest in our camp this year with the fact that we're this full and it's not even April yet. I have 34 kids already registered for the entire summer, which we had I have 24 kids registered for the entire summer. I had 27 kids for the entire summer last year. So I foresee us surpassing that. And what that is our early bird special, specifically for Swanzey residents. And they pay $800 for 8 weeks of camp, so it's $100 a week. And yeah, it is a deal for what the costs go in the town.
How many kids did you say you had? 36 this year?
No, I have 24 for the full season, and I had 27 last year for the full season, so I'm hoping that we surpass that. With those,
How many can you take?
80 for the entire week. So we have an option for like a full summer registration at a discounted rate, only available for Swanzey residents. And then we have a weekly rate for Swanzey residents and a weekly rate for non-residents. Something new I brought in this year to encourage early registration is that come May, early bird will be closed. You cannot register for that discounted rate anymore. And in May, each of the rates will go up by $25 as like a late registration fee type deal. So hopefully we will be filled before May, is my goal. Kids on Campus isn't running this year. That's a big hit to the community. Beyond the Bell is not running on Fridays this year. That's a big hit to the community. So we're really just trying to keep our prices the same this year and get these kids in. And we've got great staff that are coming back from 3-4 years now that we've been there. So we're really building a great rapport with that camp, and it's doing well. I'm excited. Our CIT program is also doing well. I take 8 kids a session for that. We've got 6 registered for the first session and only 2 registered for the second session, but that usually will fill up closer towards the end of the school year.
What's the age group for CIT?
Those are our 7th and 8th graders. So I've kind of designed this to go camper, our CIT program, which is a counselor in training. They can have a potential of 1 session per summer just because it's repetitive the second session, and I've learned they get very bored when they need to be doing the same thing the second time. 1 session per summer for 2 summers. They'd go through a safe sitter course. They go through CPR, basic first aid, how to run a babysitting style business if they wanted to babysit for families outside on their own personal time, as well with basic maintenance of Richardson Park and the general requirements of what would become a beach attendant, in hopes that when they are now going into 9th grade, they want to be our gatekeeper, or not gatekeepers, our beach attendant position now, where they help maintain the property, and then by the time they're 15, 16, I can start feeding them in as camp counselors or public beach staff, and just keep them building. They have a promotion kind of standard to go.
You said that all without taking a breath.
I'm really surprised that you're surprised by that. Any questions?
Yeah.
And that's just until summer.
You said something about $100 a week, $800 for 8 weeks. Is that the rate around, have you ever looked at, or you have no idea what?
We are well below the regular
But
rate.
yeah.
Yes. We do charge our weekly rate at $125 for residents and $175 for non-residents. So if you don't live in Swanzey, you only have an option of paying $175 a week
So you
to
can't
attend.
buy into the 8 week.
Correct.
The only way you can buy into that 8 week thing is if you pay up for the 8 weeks and you're done, and it's 100.
Yep.
If you go by the week, it's 125 for
Yes.
residents.
Yep.
And we are
pretty low with the towns around us?
Yes.
Gotcha.
And in reality, we are competitive with recreation programs.
Right.
So we are more expensive than the Troy program, but the Troy program only runs from 9 to 2:30 during the day. They have like a kind of broke up day. We are nowhere near like the YMCA, which is like $275 a week. I also don't have an air conditioned facility. I just got bathrooms a year and a half ago. So we had to kind of make those improvements. And I plan to increase and start to go as we've now made the improvements to the facility. But it was really hard to try to justify a porta potty and no air conditioning or even fan circulation was a big thing we just added in too.
Have these rates been the same for?
I want to say I set these rates 2 years ago before we put the bathrooms in, or as we put the bathrooms in. Previously, when I was hired, it was $90 a week. So back in 2020, when I was not here before for camp, it was $90 a week for a resident and $100 a week for a non-resident. So we have made a big increase since 2020, but we're definitely not in the competitive range of other camps. I'm not looking to kind of outbook ourselves just because we're a rustic camp. Your kid's gonna wanna be outside all day long in 95-degree heat and humidity and be okay with that. And some kids aren't, they want those indoor facilities and things like that, like MoCo or the YMCA or Stonewall. Stonewall has their great facility that's similar to us, but they have the indoor space where those kids can go and cool off and stuff like that.
Is that in our future look that we could upgrade, or we haven't even addressed that? We haven't looked at it?
I wouldn't even consider it, to be honest. We installed ceiling fans and a ventilation system a few years ago, but it's a 3C, like it's plywood. Like there would be no point of really kind of putting anything.
Could it be done? Could it not be done?
It would take quite a bit of work.
Yeah.
So it was energy efficient to do.
Perspective, I was reading an article from 1930 today about how Old Home Day had a dance in that pavilion. It was built in 1921.
Got it.
It works great for camp.
Could you just give, hold for a minute, we have to just do a public hearing.
Yeah.
I'd like you to just share with Mark the contract we have with Cal Ripken, so he's up to speed with
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
On the fields and any updates you can give on the brown fields.
Yep.
So, all right, thank you.
Absolutely.
So, next item on our agenda is to open a public hearing with regard to the acceptance and expenditure of unanticipated funds as follows. $25,000 from the Peter N. Johnson Trust of 1997 to benefit Whitcomb Hall, $407,951.66 from the Federal Emergency Management Agency for 2023 disaster expenses, and third, $51,250 from the Monadnock Alliance for Sustainable Transportation for rail trail safety crossing improvements on Matthews Road. Public hearing is open. Any questions or comment on those items? On the board? Okay. Is this the first, is this a two-step process, or is this just we accept and then
Just that's a one-step process for the unanticipated growth. Just one year.
anything else? Anybody? No? All right. Mark, you want to make a motion to approve the receipt and expenditure of the funds as noted?
Motion that we accept the receipts of the funds.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Ashlee,
Yes.
back to you. So
Okay.
again, with regard to where we are in the contract with Cal Ripken and then again, the ball fields.
Absolutely. So right now we've established a 2-year agreement with Cal Ripken. Last year was the first year. We're moving into a second year with the same mindset. We actually already have released the ball fields down to them. We are in a transition from where we had a new board came in last year for Cal Ripken, and we've really started to build a great relationship with them. Ideally what it is that from whenever we release the fields for safe use, as though they're not going to ruin it by mud or the parking lot and things like that, which Lane was an old sand pit anyways, dries great. We then release it to them per an agreement where they cover the electric cost for the cook shack that they're using during that time till the end of August. So it covers their regular T-ball season, their all-star season. This year we're bringing in a big one. We have a big tournament coming in. I can't remember which one we were awarded, but being awarded one of the tournaments through the Cal Ripken State shows great progress to the facility and to the board that has been built to be able to have them be like, yes, you can host all the kids in the state to come here for this one. So we're super excited that that's going to happen. Cal Ripken also personally manned the cook shack. So that space, even though town building, everything in it is mainly theirs, manned by them. They cook it, they inspect it, they make sure all the maintenance is done on it and things like that. While we do the other maintenance of like certain fences and stuff like that. If you've been down through there, they're doing a great job with improving dugouts from funds that they have received through registration fees and cook shack fees. They've done, O'Brien Field already has been rebuilt up with their new dugouts. They fixed the dugouts on Chandler, which one of them sat as a pad for, I can't even tell you how many years. It was a long time. They have Cole and Lane down right now where the blocks have already been donated to us from Wickham and will be going up on there, and they hope to have that ready before the season starts down there in April. But two, the Easter egg hunt to Cal Ripken's opening day, they ran a 300 plus kids program down there. A lot of people have pushed back on why we don't run a baseball program down there. I can't rival what they do. They have a board of 12 very dedicated members who do a fantastic job, and they run like a well-oiled machine down there. They built the maintenance barn down there, which again, town building, but they put it up just so that they could house their equipment and things like that. So I'm really hoping to keep building on this relationship with them in the next few years. We will go into discussion come November over the agreement. I can't see much changing really other than maybe the length of said agreement because it's working really well right now. We don't have a lot of gray area like we had previously with the agreement. Brown is a similar situation to the extent. It did have an agreement with an organization before. We've now taken that back over. So organizations come to me to rent out the fields. I'm working with the men's league on tournaments that they're looking to bring in along with some of their season stuff. The women's league this year has seen a decrease, so they are staying just at Wheelock, which is the two fields over there, and they can get a great deal from Keene to do that. With the Brown, though, I do the maintenance. So over at South Road, Cal Ripken is lining their fields. They're paying for that material. At Brown, that's me, which if you ever see me out there, just feel free to stop by. I love that little tractor I get to ride around on. But we do our kickball program over there. We're bringing in a co-ed softball league this summer in there as well. And it gets used, it's probably going to be used a lot this spring by the local softball programs just because their field is kind of still under construction, but I don't think the JV field area is done with everything that's going on at Mount Caesar. So I try to work with those local organizations to get those kids on a field so that they have a place to play. We technically have a soccer field over down there. Not such great turf or level ground since it's also used for the playground area at Cutler, which again, we don't want to eliminate any of their recess space, but there's a lot of potential. If you haven't seen the projected plan for Brown, I would love to sit down and chat with you about it. It was a process we went through last February and got an architectural design. We did community meetings on it to really get people's feedback, and it encompasses a whole redesign of that property that potentially could happen with grant funding once the school is condensed over to Mount Caesar to bring more life back over there. Because right now, especially without the cook shack that closed in 2019 due to not having a 3-bay sink, it has a little less appeal than going to South Road. Families live in that area just to be able to go down on like a Tuesday night and watch some T-ball and have a burger down at their cook shack. It's kind of nice. Yes.
Do you mow the lawns or does Joe's guys do it?
They mow lawns.
Brown?
Yes.
Who does Cal Ripken?
They mow Cal Ripken's as well.
Joe does?
All the fields, yes.
You do all the fields?
Yeah, they take care of the lining and the grading of the infield, where we mow all the grass, work on the fences, pick up the trash, stuff like that.
All summer long?
Yep.
But Cal Ripken does in South Road, there's so many donations and volunteers, and they really do a lot with that field down there. It's substantial. Ever since I've been doing this position, they've constantly made improvements, whether it be dugouts, the ball fields.
The turf or the dirt, yeah.
I just want to ask one more question about the shack in Brown's Field.
Yeah.
What stops us from putting the 3-bay sink in so they can use that?
Lack of space.
How much?
Lack of space.
We don't have enough space for
No.
3-bay sink?
You should, it's 6 by 8 maybe, the room that like those cooking supplies are in.
So I would imagine what's the sense of doing anything if we've got plans for the future,
Yeah.
right? So we're hoping that we're waiting for the Cutler School to do wherever it goes. Is that why we're all on the hold state?
That and just looking for grant opportunities as well. We need funding in place before anything really gets its wheels going.
Is the engineering firm currently pursuing, I know in the initial process there was talk of having them help with pursuing grant funding. Do you know if that's still happening?
I'm not 100% sure. I have been bugging Stefan, but I feel like he's looking at like 6 projects for me. It's a toss-up.
Somebody should probably reach out to the engineer to see,
Okay.
because that, I think that as part of, I was involved with the initial interview process. The company's out of Brattleboro, Vermont.
Yep.
One of the questions was how much their involvement would be pursuing grant funding, and I think they had quite a bit of experience with that.
So I can definitely look into that and see. It was Stevens and Associates that we worked with for that.
What are we looking at the cost of this upgrade? Millions?
Was it 4?
Yeah, it's pretty
I think it was
substantial.
4.
Did you say
Some of
4 million?
yeah, some of it could be eliminated though.
Well, it was a reposition of the softball field, an expansion of the parking lot, a driveway through the facility, 3 tennis courts that could also be pickleball courts, a full U8 or full 12U soccer field, which would be comparable to the soccer field that's currently there. Then also an additional multi-use field, a basketball court, a cook shack, 2 age group playgrounds. We went a big
That much property over there?
Yeah.
Dog park?
A dog park, yes, the dog park was included.
I think the way to do it would be do it in stages, and the first thing needs to be done is the bathrooms and the cook shack, because they're beyond rebuilding, and take them down and start over, something ADA compliant.
Well, and even the maintenance shed that's over there right now, we've just been kind of praying and hoping nobody was going to get into it. We dealt with a lot of vandalism over there last spring, and it seems recently, quite often I'm getting a call, hey, the door's open, because they can just yank
Yeah, I
just.
remember we had that problem, don't we?
Yeah.
How in the future is this? 27, 26, 28? It's
This-
all about the grant.
It's all about the grants, really. Yeah, the schools are projected to condense this end of this year. I'm not 100% sure what the full process is with Cutler. Cutler does have to be offered out for sale to educational institutions and stuff like that. So I have no idea what that time frame or that process is that goes with that. It's just going to live in my hopes and my dreams.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate all the information. You do one heck of a job.
I'm trying.
How's your knee?
Oh, I didn't share. Would you like to hear some of my ideas for Ashlee?
No,
No? Okay.
not at the moment.
Okay, fantastic.
Maybe next week.
That's fine.
We know you have.
I do. I have so many ideas.
And you implement them, which is even better.
Yes,
But thank you.
absolutely.
Eric and Mick, coming up to give us an update, or do you want to share it from there?
Whatever works easiest for you, hook them up.
Bring a chair up, then one
They have able legs.
He's the boss. So, we obviously got the approval for the station. You know, we're looking forward to hearing back from Katie on that, with the timeline and some other drawings. We've recently hired 2 new young kids, so that's kind of promising. Both of them are very excited to get on.
The 2 that you put in, correct?
Yep.
That we'll talk
Yep.
about one of them.
We interviewed them last night. They got their job offers. They have instructions to contact Megan, and their effective hire date is the 31st, once they get all the paperwork and all that stuff done. They're both looking forward to jumping in with both feet. So,
Certified already?
One
one
is.
is,
One
yeah.
is, yeah. The other one's brand new and eager to learn.
Yeah.
So,
So one is gonna go to Swanzey Center through Station 2, and one is gonna come over here to Station 3. The certified guy is gonna go to Station 2, which should bolster them, which is good, because that roster is growing as we speak. So that's a good thing. It really is. It's gonna help out Mike Burke over there and the response out of that station.
So that part of it sounds like we're going in a positive direction then,
Yeah.
as far as recruiting,
yeah,
which was one of the major problems that we needed to conquer, right?
yep.
Is-
And we've got a couple others that
I heard that.
have shown interest, so I think we're gonna try to work on them, get them some applications, you know, hopefully things work out.
We had good discussion between the 4 of us that are on the staff about things that we're going to do, you know, when we have people that say, hey, you know, how do I become a member? You know, we're getting with the company officers who are saying, to get them in touch with one of the four of us, we can get them an application, we can get the applications to Megan, and we can meet these people and get, instead of, for a while there, we kind of stagnated and weren't able to speed up that process. People lose interest after 4 or 5 weeks of not hearing anything or filling out applications. So we've actually, we've done really well, the staff, the chief, to shorten it up a lot. So now they're not losing interest. You know, they know that they're on our radar and that we're moving forward with them.
I think that was a smart move by you guys to speed that process up, because
Yeah,
I can see in all aspects, they could be saying, do they really care? Do they really want me? You know,
Right.
what, Jesus Christ, I put my app in, I never heard from them.
Right, and that's
I think
exactly
one of the most important things you guys did, speed that process up.
That's exactly what happened to us in the past. Was, you know, we tried, but it just didn't work.
Is there a Wi-Fi one class coming up somewhere so that he doesn't have to wait months?
Sadly, there is, in like another month, full. Filled right up like within a couple of weeks, so.
So they list them all throughout the year. The chief was telling me, and that's how I know. I've gone on and looked for ones in the local area, looked through them in Concord. There aren't a ton of them that have been released yet, but I will check on them every week. So when they release those dates, I can put in for 2 seats, 4 seats, 5 seats, you know, when they come open. It's just something that I can take off of his plate to do, and we'll keep an eye on that. So we have stuff that he can do right now. The Fire Academy has taken the wildland firefighting out of Fire One. So this coming up, we can train him and we can have him jump in with both feet. This season that's coming up, we can train him to work with the officers. He doesn't have to be certified to do all that stuff yet, which is good because he's a great big kid, active, strong, big boy, and we can definitely
carrier.
What's that?
Good hose carrier.
Yeah, we can definitely put guys like that to work.
Good.
You know, so that's a good thing.
Do you think the fire station, by being passed, and that's gonna help you guys to, like, we're getting a new fire station, pretty exciting. Do you find that might help us?
I think that's
It
gonna
sounds
help
to me
us.
like,
Absolutely.
you know, it's exciting to have a new
Yeah.
building, a facility, and it shows that we're getting stronger, and these young kids might be attracted to that as well, you know?
Yeah.
We are actually, our training Monday night was planned on being on that site. So we're doing some wildland training.
Oh, fantastic.
So we'll be over there because it's a convenient area for us to train right now in the way that it is. So people will see now. The trucks will be there. It'll be dusk. It'll be lights.
When is this?
We'll be there next Monday. Next Monday, try to weather permitting. We were supposed to do it the other Monday night, but just in the rain and yuck. You know, we didn't want to be there. But so. As far as the station goes, people are asking, well, where's it going to go? I had 4 people ask me this week, where is the new station go? One guy lived right down the road. So,
Yeah.
well, that was an idea that I was talking with the chief and the Chief Scancy about is maybe now we need to put something up, future site of the station. Once we get an actual drawing of the building and what it's going to look like.
And maybe thank you to the town.
Oh, yeah.
And
Maybe a thank you.
and that's exactly what it would be too. Is a thank you and
So they would appreciate it. That's good. Some of the voters, right?
Yep, absolutely. And yeah, maybe a message from us, and even if it's in the paper or the shopper
I agree.
or from the town, from us, a thank you to the townspeople for supporting it and for backing it, and for as much as we ask of them, you know, in the last 7 years, you know, a thank you to them, you know, in a timely fashion. I think you know, it's great.
When you go to some of our other training, Megan has really got us set up. We're going to have a large animal recovery class. So there's more than enough places around here we've had to get in and upright animals in their stalls, and this will actually give us a little better knowledge of how to do that, rather than just kind of winging it.
Hold on, I gotta get him. Are you telling me you get a call for a cow laying down
Josh?
Mostly horses.
Mostly horses.
Mostly horses.
And what would be the reason why the horse can't come up there?
They're old, they're sick, they're.
Stuck in the mud.
Stuck in the mud.
They're stuck.
So
That just happened
we have,
recently.
yeah,
We've had a
that's,
few that have had, you know, this time of year have icy stalls that can't get up, but
And
yeah.
that's a fireman thing, it's not a
That's-
veterinarian,
yeah.
it's a fireman.
Right.
so it really is,
We're kind of the catch-all.
right. And if you've never looked at technical rescue of anything before, lifting 1,000-pound animal that's got teeth, running, they've got teeth,
4 feet.
and they have hooves, and they can reach out and touch you whenever they want to.
They're stressed.
Right, and they're under stress, and you're working in a confined space. The last one we had was in a barn stall, and it took all 15 of us.
Yeah, and quite a few of us to get it up and get it rigged up and get the horse up and walk it out finally.
And don't forget, because it's not like you can just strap something to them, put them on a winch over a beam and pull them up, right? You have to know where you can lift them. You have to know what you can do to not injure them even more, and that's where the people who are familiar with horses and large animals come in and teach us where we can lift from and what we can do.
So I understand you're gonna get a training for this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And you found somebody that does that?
Yeah, I actually took the training myself. So it's
Yeah,
good.
because you look like you can pick up a horse.
No, but it is, the idea of it is not just the animal, but to keep the team safe, because you can easily strain yourself in the wrong way. And
Or
the
get
whole
crushed.
goal of it is to know what to do and when to do it, but also to recognize just keeping the animal still until the vet gets there. And so Monadnock Humane Society requested to be involved in this as well, so that, you know, if there's a situation, let's say a horse trailer were to tip over on the road, and our team responds, or a surrounding member of another team, then they can just call Monadnock Humane Society, and maybe there's a collective group of vets to be called if someone isn't local to the area. So this is a networking opportunity and training event that will help our fire department be more prepared, not only for animals, but to protect themselves, because it can get very dangerous.
Interesting. Special equipment you have to buy?
I think there's probably more straps, you know, knowing how to use some, you know, use leverage, right? You know,
So a lot
how
of
to winch here and there, and,
mechanical advantage,
right.
that stuff. And fortunately, we have a few of us that are tech rescue training that know that part of it. So the mechanical advantage, the rope systems that we can use to put on those straps and to build the haul systems. So that part of the training we can do in house. It won't cost us anything. We have the rope and the stuff to do that. But the other stuff, the specialized stuff, how to deal with the animal and how to deal with the situation, the best part of where this training is going to come from.
They bring mannequin horses that are filled with cement, so they weigh 1,000 to 1,200 pounds. They bring the straps. If we provide a tractor, they'll show you how to lift it up with in-house straps. There are different apparatuses that you can buy, but you can do it with straps. So then they bring the wood to set up stalls. So then you're in a stall doing the same thing. Because also a horse can get stuck when they go to roll over and they hit the wall for some reason. Who knows? So, but yeah, Eric's going to pick out a good location, and we're just looking to better support our fire department members through that.
Yeah, right, yeah. So we've bought, over the past year, we bought 4 new gas detectors. I think I brought that up before. We've got one for sewage treatment plant, so when they go down into their confined space, they can at least know that it's safe to go down there before they go down in. We're still awaiting our airbags. Bought some new airbags because the ones we had are somewhere in the 20-year-old range. So we're awaiting those, hoping within the
thermal imaging cameras.
Thermal
That you got
indicators,
there.
yeah. So, we have all of those, one for each engine, so there's one in each station now. They're all in, set up and charging, so usable.
So all this stuff that we researched and bought throughout the last year, we had gotten to, with Joe, because that's probably one of our more dangerous places that those guys are going to go, is down to the sewage treatment plant. What those gas detectors do is we use them in carbon monoxide situations, and basically that was what I carried in here the other night. And I was looking at that monitor, and I was checking the O2 that was in the area. I was checking so that it doesn't necessarily detect the gas that would have been in there, but the gas depletes the oxygen. So the oxygen level would have gone down. That was how I would have known if there was a problem. We use them, they're multi-gases, it detects 4 gases. So we use them a lot during the winter months when people are burning wood, burning oil and stuff, and they have CO detectors that go off. We monitor inside the houses. So there's at least one in every station, and we upgraded the ones. The ones that we did have, I had cobbled together as long as I could, and I could no longer get the filters for them. So we bought all Mattson ones. Now that, so Joe's detector matches ours, so if he has an issue with his, I'll know about it. I calibrate them once a month and do all the documentation on them, so batteries, documentation, and they have to be calibrated, at certain times, so I do all that once a month. Our thermal imaging cameras that were on the trucks had run their life expectancy. We could no longer get batteries for them, so they would charge while they were on the truck. You take them off the truck, and within a couple of minutes, the batteries were dead. So they were really no good to our firefighters. The only batteries that we could get were refurbished, and their life expectancy was half of what we needed, really. So we replaced those. There's one in each station now, and
There's one in each station and one in Public Works.
not for those are the gas detectors. These thermal imaging cameras that we have are what the firefighters take into. We can take into a building, and they can look, and they can determine how hot it is at certain levels of the room and contents that they're in. There are different modes that are on them. If you're looking for a person, it will look for a lower temperature that's in the building. There are certain different modes that it has when we use it in different situations. So one of these times I'll just have to show it to you. It's easier to show to you than to explain. But it's an integral piece of fire service technology that we definitely have to have. It could let us, say even for a chimney fire, it can show me a hot spot on a chimney that you can't see or you can't feel with your hands. It's an integral piece that needs to be out there. And then the airbags that we have are replacing the old ones that were old when we bought one. A very good set of. Oh, and I will tell you, we got a special deal on the thermal imaging cameras. They told us a really, really, really good price, so we locked in that price with the vendor, and then they said, well, no, we're going to do away with that price as of a certain amount of time. I said, well, I have the quote. And they honored it, so we got a really good deal on the thermal imaging cameras. And then the chief we had the money, so we're replacing those. Lifting bags is what the airbags that he's talking about are for stabilization. If we have a car wreck that's on the side or something like that, we have a person that's pinned, we can stabilize and lift up to 6 tons. We can stabilize and move around in 4 different bags. So more training for that to come. So we're keeping people engaged.
How much can they lift?
6 tons.
12,000 pounds.
Yep, we can either lift or stabilize 12,000 pounds with this system, and it's all done
Actually
by
lift up a truck.
it's all done by air. Yep. So in conjunction with what we already have for stabilization jacks and stuff like that, we could realistically stabilize a section of an 18-wheeler trailer that was tipped over.
And
make it
this
safe
is one
for-
set we have at one station.
They're going to be on the rescue vehicle. Yes, it's one set.
Oh, it stays
It's
on the vehicle.
it's a specialized set of stuff. You have to go through some pretty good training to make sure you use them right, because if you don't use them right, you can really screw things up.
Right.
But
It's a
We're
lot.
staying busy.
What's that?
We're staying busy.
Yeah, you are.
Very happy about the new people. Yeah. That's a good sign.
Yeah, and we're hoping that
That's
some,
exciting.
bringing some of these young kids, younger kids, I call them kids because one of them happens to be my kid. Hopefully, some of the other younger members will come back a little bit more too. You know,
What size is our team now, total?
I couldn't even give you.
32 with these two.
What did you say?
32.
So, yeah. That's nice.
Flew by your goal.
Right, we're getting
Good
there.
job.
Good.
We're getting there.
Substantial improvement from a year ago.
Let's keep going. You guys are doing a good job. Thank you so much.
All right.
With regard to the station, if you can hang around for a few minutes, Joe is gonna talk a little bit about it.
Absolutely.
Alex has an update with regard to the architect. And at this stage, there's just several moving parts.
Right.
And so last week, the board, working collaboratively with Megan and with Alex, started the process to move forward. And we're doing what we can to expedite it. So, and you'll become more engaged once we engage the architect.
Sure.
And we start going out to the drawings and making sure that what you anticipate being
Right,
is
right,
there.
yeah.
So if you have a few
Sounds
minutes,
good,
Joe,
absolutely.
Joe will fill us in on that. Joe DiRusso.
So you have in your packet a proposal from Chad from Fieldstone for the site plan and design of the fire station. I met with him out there this week about advancing that. He spelled that out in the proposal, which I reviewed. See the cost of $18,000 for some, this
What page is it on, Joe?
I don't have it there, I have it on my phone, but
We got a big book here, Joe.
I'm sorry, I don't know what page.
It's all right, 53, I think.
53, okay, his proposal of $18,000 with some potential extras. I think only one of those will be needed. I would just recommend that the board authorize up to $21,000 for that design and permitting. I met with him out there this week, and we're gonna, the intention is for DPW to do everything they can with the site to cut back on some of the costs. It's pretty straightforward. I've been discussing it with some contractors. We're actually gonna start working over there Monday. I don't know what your trade, possibly Monday if I can get a piece of equipment in there in time. It's gonna, the initial dirt moving will be removing asphalt and removing topsoil and just starting to grade things out. So you'll still have access. We're gonna remove most of the asphalt, but the two driveways that are there now, we'll leave a section of asphalt as like a construction entrance. But to get started on some of that. And then, once the final design is complete, we start going out to bid. DPW will work with whoever the general contractor is, like I said, to finish up some of that site stuff and cut down on the cost of it. I also believe Alex met today with the architect as far as advancing that along as well.
So with regard, just so people understand, we engaged KSC Architects in 2019 as a result of an RFP process, and part of her team is Fieldstone and WW Engineering. And what she's encouraged us to do to reduce cost is to have separate contracts with Fieldstone and WW Engineering, which is what you're doing, and a separate, obviously, contract with her, and that allows us to reduce some of the expenses. So just the point being that we've already selected them through the RFP process.
Yes, and that's already been ongoing. I just recently got involved with it. But talking with some of the general contractors we use, there's also been some input from contractors that they're willing to do some donations of equipment time and so forth. So we think there's potential there to save some money. What I would like to see for you, if we can save that kind of money, is to get a full foundation, get concrete higher up, at least in the garage portion of the building, and then the possibility of exploring making it a completely free span. A lot of contractors thought that would be a good idea, but we'll see where things come out. But there is potential. I can tell you just the site estimates, I think we can do that for half of what was estimated in the site estimates. So
we'll start working on it right away. Like I said, we'll get some erosion control in place as early as the end of the week, silt fences and such. And then it's gonna be preparing the site, removing the topsoil, removing the asphalt, some test pits to do some more soil sampling, and hopefully we can get going on this before the middle of summer.
So could I ask you just to talk just a bit more about the foundation that you were just talking about? It was originally designed as a big slab, am I correct?
Yeah, with a
What
frost.
you'd like to see is get a frost wall, right? Is that what we talked about?
Yes, to get a much higher up concrete frost wall so the wood is not that close to the ground.
But what are the outside of the building?
Yeah, and so the concrete would be more than what's planned, but it'll cut back on the amount of lumber that's spent, and it'll just make it for a much more stable facility, especially if you start doing stuff in the future on the second story. It gives you the potential to have that stronger foundation. That would be, if we can afford to do it and we can save that much money, I think it's a no-brainer to go with the full foundation. Talked to a couple different contractors about it, and it would be very good.
And they suggested it right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You want a motion with regard to the contract?
Yes, I would ask the motion for the contract, I would say safe up to $21,000.
He's giving us a quote of 18,000, but Joe wants to see how little.
You gotta do-
There's 18,000, but he also lists 2 secondary possibilities, which I don't think they'll be needed, but there is potential that they will be needed depending on who the general contractor is.
And you don't want to have to come back.
Yeah, like one of the things would be going out and setting some, their surveyors going out and setting some benchmarks, which I think that would be required. As far as the construction layout, I think Chad has already said he could provide the data for GPS program depending on who the contractor is. The plans get loaded into a GPS system and they do the layout of the GPS, and therefore surveyors are not needed. Like our project ongoing right now in Weber Hill, that's all in a GPS system. The engineers design it, they provide a file that gets loaded into a computer system that works as a layout. But not knowing who the general contractor is going to be at this stage, that's why I asked for the up to 21.
Okay.
Okay, would you want to be authorized to sign that, or?
Yeah, if you want to basically use the same language that we had for the other motion for KCS Architects for this as well, the same authorizing, and then the same place that we're going to pull the money from, either from the capital reserve fund or from grant funds, which Bruce said I figured out.
And there will be some, that's a good question, reminded me I was going to ask, like, there'll be some expenses coming up. I don't know what level we charge, like silt fences and erosion control projects. Those expenses will be coming up sooner than later. I plan on working on that towards the end of the week.
And does the contractor field saw include the test pits, or is that something?
Yeah, no, you'll see it worded in there. It doesn't, we're going to dig the holes with the DPW backhoe, but it includes the soil samples and all that, but he's got it worded in there, not the backhoes and such. So I don't anticipate any additional costs unless we get into, which I don't think, the time I spent on the property, the material over there is very well, which matches up with the apartment building next door, so it's very suitable for the design. I don't anticipate any other issues, but if something does pop up, then we'd have to come back, but I don't anticipate anything further.
And they'd be ready to start next week?
The test pits, hopefully, as soon as that gets signed, they said as soon as that gets signed, as soon as they can start implementing things.
So if we got it signed on Monday, we'd be ready to go on Tuesday?
Yeah, yes, I can't give, but as far as the test pits go, but if I can let Chad know tomorrow that it's going to be signed and set it up, we can dig the test pits anytime next week.
You're going to be test pits for that background. How deep do they have to go?
They'll probably go down 8 feet, I'm guessing 6 to 8 feet.
Right.
If they are looking to go shallower, because I think it'll be 8 feet, but I'm going to let them know that there is potential that we're going to be going with a deeper foundation, so.
Right.
I make a motion that we authorize the interim town administrator to execute all necessary documents to accept them proposed by Fieldstone, not to spend more than $21,000.
I'll second that.
Okay, so the motion is we move to authorize the interim town administrator to execute all necessary documents to accept the proposal by Fieldstone Land Use Consultants as provided for design work for drainage, test pits, etc., permitting, and to authorize the expenditure of up to $21,000 from the fire station capital reserve fund and/or from grant funds as appropriate and available. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Joe.
Welcome. The next item is here, partially here, Town Hall and the Grange Building, the painting. We put out an RFP for painting. We received a low bid from Minkler, CM Minkler Paving and Painting. He's done work for the town. He was a subcontractor that worked on the covered bridge out here painting, and then he just recently painted over at the library next to Town Hall. The price he has for Wickham Hall is $32,750. Last year when this went out to bid, we had 2 bids. I can't remember the exact numbers, but they were substantially more than that. The project didn't go forward last year due to some issues that came up, and that is the number we have for Wickham Hall. The other work that's laid out is Town Hall, and that number is $20,840. And then secondly, the cost, there was some talk about some painting at Grange Hall. Some people expressed an interest in it, whether it be just the front and the side, but the price for painting the entire Grange Hall is $25,665, if I'm doing that correctly. I think most importantly, Town Hall is in pretty good shape. The Grange Hall is not, but I think most importantly, I would recommend to get started on Wickham Hall, and that price is very reasonable compared to what we had last time.
Okay.
I don't know what the board's opinion is on the other buildings, but that's where we're at.
I personally agree with your approach. We focus on Wickham Hall.
Yeah, I'm not prepared to vote on the Town Hall of Grange yet, but I know this one needs to be done, and I think we've already talked about this enough, and I think the price is there, so I agree.
Any other discussion? That's the wrong page.
Would we do that in the spring?
So yeah, they could start prepping now. As soon as the contracts are awarded, we could start prepping that now, and I don't know what their schedule's like.
And we know he will do that piece, and he'll break this up into phases that we
Yes,
decide.
that's because they always bid, yes.
Yeah, so we can say we can get back to him on the other ones?
Yeah, because we also need to look at the financial aspect of the other ones.
Correct.
Do you know, Joe, if those were coming from a capital reserve fund or an operating fund?
I think capital improvement fund, but I think we can confirm that with Mike Grant.
Okay.
The funds for this?
Yeah, just the trustees prefer if we're taking from a reserve fund to name that in the motion. So I just wasn't sure if we knew which fund that was going to be coming from.
No, not that I'm aware of. Do you remember, Michael?
The Grange has nothing in it.
No, we're talking about here, the Wickham Hall.
Wickham Hall, I should have brought my thing with me, but I can recall about 25 minutes. I can't swear to that.
So we may have to come back then.
Come back.
Yes, for that.
I can check when I get home, though, if you want.
We'll have it. We'll work on it next week. We'll give you the go-ahead.
And then the same thing, I think authorize Alex to sign off on the contract for the painting.
That's what we're trying to determine, which fund it would come from.
Yeah, but as far as getting a contract established, that we can move forward.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, we can deal with the funding later, but move forward with the contract.
I think typically we had those in one motion in the past. And so if we're approving the contract, we should identify where the funds are coming from. So does the contractor need us to give the okay this week?
No.
Okay, so why don't we do it next week when we have the fund?
We'll have that.
So Joe doesn't have to be here next week, we could sit here and bring it.
Yeah.
Put the vote through.
If you guys feel like you got it,
We're okay
right?
with that, right, Jim? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then, just that one.
I may be coming back next week regardless, though, there's a lot going on. I may be back here next week regardless, so.
Yeah,
So just to clarify, we'll move forward on Wickham Hall, and we'll put the others on hold for now. Okay, and the next item, I have the Town Hall. As the remodeling progress and the new doors are being installed, moving right along. The crew was over there today. The rear door was installed by the door contractor, FC Doors. The crew's over there today, putting trim around the new door, and then it's gonna be finished up. The carpenter Paul's not available tomorrow, but the floor, there were some issues with the floor, so we had excess left over from the front floor. We just completely replaced the rear floor to match the same material that's in the front.
That light gray floor, when you
Yeah, the
first walk in?
same as the front's gonna be in the back.
Gotcha.
The doors, they look really well. The locking mechanisms are great. I think the punch codes are great. It's a big step up from what we had. And the next step of the project would be the security doors when you enter the front lobby, which has previously been discussed. Instead of having the wooden doors there you see in the packet, there'll be a secure door with a push button open. The cost he has, one of the things I brought up, he had just estimated one clicker, so to speak, a door opener, remote opener. I think it'd be important to have more than one. He hasn't gotten back to me yet if the system he had quoted will accept more than one, so that might have to change. But the total number to install that door is $8,790.30.
With the one remote?
With the one remote. He's not sure if the opener that he has quoted can use more than.
Explain to me why we need to.
I just think if you're gonna have, if you have an issue with somebody's on the phone, town clerk's office should have one, and whoever's gonna act as the
So
receptionist.
both sides have one.
I think it's a good idea. I don't think eliminate buying the one opener that only uses one could be, if we want to realize that we need more. I didn't, like I said, at the time he received this quote, he couldn't give me an answer either way. But that would make town hall a much secure place, a lot more professional looking at it.
Is it a single door, Joe, or double?
It is a single door. It should be in the packet. Maybe, you know.
Yeah, not in the packet for this week.
It's not in there. It's not, okay. It's a single door with some,
To match almost the front?
yes. Yes, and then it's metal, but it's gonna have a wood look to it on the
So two
side.
glass strips and a single door?
Yes.
Is it wide, obviously it's 36 inches wide for a
Yes,
wheelchair?
the same width as the other one, yes.
I'll come back next week so we know what fund it's
Yeah.
coming from.
Yeah, because I'm not sure about that either as well. Like I said, I've worked on these projects and,
Be up to 9,000.
yeah, and hopefully by then we can have an answer for me on if that opener can use two remotes.
So then we'll be more clear, so it's best we do it next week.
Yeah.
Come back.
Yeah, just a reminder, we've got some staffing things to discuss before we make the switch over to those doors. That we talked about in non-public.
Got it.
And then one of the other things I would highly recommend, once we finally get the doors in place and secure it is, and Homeland Security would probably help with that, as far as some emergency plans, as far as dealing with different events that should take place. I'm not aware of anything at Town Hall in place as far as active shooter drills or anything like that. It's something that definitely should be worked on, and if there is something, which I don't think there is, but redesigned so that way it fits the new access points in the building, whether it be fire, emergency response, active shooter type drills, and Homeland Security would help in developing something.
Is that something you would work with the chief? And
Sure, yeah, the chief, the fire chief, and then Homeland Security, they specialize in that. They come around and work on all the schools drills as well.
And just in that vein, do we have a security system in place with the buttons at the desks? Do we know they're operational?
We should probably have them checked. I have not done anything with them, but they probably should be checked. And I don't know what's been done with them in the past.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't think we're up to date on sort of training and all the buttons. And
Yeah,
no,
no.
Megan, we talked a little bit about that, some of the buttons.
Yeah, we talked about it in joint loss management
Yeah.
yesterday too, about having, it's active threat training, so not just shooting, but
Yeah,
also
many different
anything, any type of threat.
Is that something you would bring in to give all the office people training?
Yeah, and the rec locations as well. So summer camp location, to have a plan and work with the police department and whoever needs to who needs to specifically know what the plans are for that, so that everyone is prepared.
So this is actually going in motion to happen, you're gonna work and do this?
Yeah, it's something that we discussed, I brought up yesterday in joint loss management to start that ball rolling so that we can have added protection at all locations for everyone. enforcement officer, Chris Levy, he's also certified in those trainings.
So let's take advantage of that.
So we could all work together,
Fantastic.
however our schedules allow and what works best for who has what background. I just wanted to start the discussion.
Yeah, it'd be worth reaching out to Homeland, New Hampshire Homeland Security and see what type of resources they can provide.
Yeah.
Yeah, you must be familiar with some of this stuff, no?
Yeah, oh,
Yeah, that's fantastic, so, you got Joe too for a little guidance. It's great.
So,
Anything else?
I think that's all I have for public, and then obviously some stuff for non-public, but while I'm here, update on the Weber Hill Slope project, that's finally moving along really well. Probably, I would say it's 70% complete, the wall's almost done. They're building the slope right now and bringing material in. Once they get the wall completed and the temperatures get warm enough, it's key to get hydroseeded and vegetation growing on that right away. And then, once the wall is complete, you have about another month's worth of work, and then the project will be complete. Bids are due on Monday at 31st at 3:30 at Town Hall for the North Winchester and California Street project. So we're going to look to move forward on that very quickly as soon as we can get everything finalized and have somebody to award the contract to, because work will start on over there essentially right away.
With the Great Wall, has there been a discussion about guardrail?
Yeah, I've talked with DOT, I've talked with the engineer, I've talked with the contractor, and I think it's best that we wait till that project's closed out and then pursue it independently, but it would be I pursued a cost that's about $90 a foot, probably need about $100 feet of it, I think would be adequate, so somewhere in the $9,000 to $10,000 range to put the guardrail. But everybody agrees it's probably best because it wasn't in the initial design that was approved by DES, and we don't want to cause any problems with halting the project at this point, so we'll come back and do it after the fact.
But you did mention to me that you might want to check with the state.
I've already reached out to him, so we've had those conversations, and he's going to get me out there to take a look at it and get some ideas. And then within the next couple of weeks, we'll be fixing the damage caused at the town hall ramp. The concrete contractor wanted to wait for things to warm up, so we're not dealing with it freezing at night, so we'll get that button back up.
And then what is the plan about the backstairs?
I need to work on that, there's no
Yeah,
plan at this
basically,
point.
yeah. No rush, but-
Yeah, and then we'll have to keep an eye on it, because it's tender, it's in bad shape, but things are gonna start kicking off here between dirt roads and our annual spring catch basin road sweeping, cleaning up the cemeteries, cleaning up the ball fields, summarizing the ball fields bathrooms, the beaches bathrooms, so it's gonna be pretty busy. But eventually we will get to that. I have to see. I'd like to
pretty secure now, this state, to really use it.
Yeah, just we need to keep an eye on because they're in bad shape, really bad shape. And the easiest way may be to rebuild them with pressure treated lumber, but the problem is I call it a vault that goes down to a building, a room inside the basement, but it's essentially a vault. And I would love to remove those wooden steps and put some precast concrete in there, but I'm not sure if it's possible because the vault underneath. The concrete contractor is working in front of Town Hall. I'm going to get an opinion on what ideas they have. But one way or the other, are we going to redo it in concrete or just redo it with pressure treated wood so it's safe?
Right. I mean, pressure treated wood, it's just, they're gonna be employee steps only now, right? Because they're
Yeah.
right in the front, and that's it, right? That door's
Yeah.
always gonna be locked. Really, it's just gonna be for people that have a code. Okay.
Next item on our agenda is the reassignment of a police vehicle from retirement to the code enforcement, to become a code enforcement vehicle. Do we have anything more than what's on this?
You should just have the memo, yeah.
So it does not include that I can see, it includes information with regard to repairs to the transmission and transfer of registration for $750, but it does not include any of the wrap on the vehicle or the Swanzey decal on the vehicle. Was that explored? It's mentioned in the
Yeah, it's
second
mentioned.
paragraph.
But it's a chief's vehicle, right?
Yeah, it's a chief's vehicle, so it's not a Swanzey Police Patrol vehicle.
It is all.
Yeah.
See,
I had decals made up for Chris this week, at minimal cost. I also had some decals made up, Mike Brindley and Chris were discussing it before, for the other town vehicles, so they don't look like, help not look like police cars, but, they already had the template from DPW and made some small changes to it. I gave Chris the decals, the other ones for town hall are still pending.
Okay, so that cost is minimal then, so it'd just be the
I
expenditure.
Yeah, I think it was $30 for those decals, somewhere in there. I ordered 8 or 9 decals and it was like $100 for some of the DPW equipment.
Great. So we need, do we have a fund to take it from, or do we, is it?
The 750, I can double check. I thought there was an operating fund for repairs for vehicles, but I can double check. I don't think it's coming from the capital reserve fund.
No, it's not.
Yeah, so that's up to us to, and if it is, I can come back and we can redo that, but I think it's coming from operating.
Operating.
Yeah.
All right, anyone want to make a motion up to $1,000?
I make a motion up to $1,000 to transfer the vehicle from the police department to the code.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I just like to inform you that you see those in the new cruiser. The update is that he found one at the dealership for this year's new cruiser. We're looking at June for it to come in, and it's gonna be based on Nashua, McMillan, I think, is it something like McMillan? I don't have it. It's a car dealership, and it's within the budget of the money that we assigned, so I'm just giving you an update.
Did you and Joe have a conversation with regard to the Mattson Road, Sawyer Crossing Road?
We did. In fact, I had a conversation with both Joes. So yeah, there's just a quick update, and I also spoke with the resident who is satisfied with the outcome of this for now. And Joe already reached out to the state to pass along the feedback. This is at Matthews and Sawyer's Crossing Road, and to see Joe's added the painting the stop line at the end, at the T of the intersection to the striping program over the summer, and then also requested NHDOT, and we believe the stop sign is owned by the state, if they could replace it with a more reflective stop sign. The resident may also reach out to NHDOT and sort of give them the complaint as well and see if there's anything the state wants to do. And I think they're also going to look into some of their own kind of private options about things to do on their own property. So they said they were satisfied for now, and I let the resident know we'd keep in touch with them if we heard anything back from the state about the stop sign.
Okay, so that's all.
Should be good for now, yeah.
Are we gonna do that in conjunction with the crossing lights on Matthews Road?
No, Matthews Road will be painted this year, our annual spring, as soon as things dry out, we do fog lines, yellow lines where it's needed, so when I restrike that road, I'll include a stop line. I let the state know that I'd be doing that at that intersection, and then ask them to replace the signs there, and it was I asked locally, which I always do, and they forwarded it up to the traffic bureau, so I'm just waiting here for a response.
Are you striping the crosswalks as well?
We will when they're ready, but it won't be until that's ready, yeah.
Who's gonna be installing those crossing lights?
I think we'll be doing some of it. It's a matter of installing a concrete foundation and then installing the posts and everything. So I already expressed with the rail trail committee that I'd be willing to do some of the work.
Great. Okay. Anything else administratively?
No, I had a couple small updates in there, but unless there's any, I'm happy to answer any questions on any of that, but otherwise, nothing too much.
Oh yeah, this is the one that you forwarded the comment to the state reps and state senator.
Yeah, HB 456.
Having to do with NHMA.
So that's a bill that NHMA reached out and asked all their, the members of municipalities to send letters to their legislative delegation just opposing the bill and in favor of NHMA existing and local governments having the ability to do advocacy through NHMA and do training and education that they offer town. So I did use some of their language and some of my language and sent that to our delegation.
Public input. Second and final time. Before non-publics. Mark, thanks. Michael. Lisa.
All set.
Joe, Nick, Eric. Thanks very much. Joe, you're gonna stay, you got non-public?
Yeah, for the, yeah.
I can check it out in a minute.
I have one item that needs to be decided by the board. With the plates, that the title, because the plates belong to the municipality from the police cruiser, typically the town administrator would sign this title and bring it to Concord, but since Alex is just interim, it really should be a board member.
I told Megan if I sign it, I gotta take it probably in a month.
So, I don't know if you all want to decide, you know, that if you sign one line, then we're going to go back to the state. Everything and then, everything goes to the state with the town side done.
So, no, I'll call you, give you a name, because I'm gonna.
I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that.
Did we actually move to go to non-public? Okay.
Yeah.
Sewer stuff.
You bring us to those things.
Well, I think we're still, yeah,
No, I'm just trying to ask you. What category is it? I love that.
legal advice.
Just do that.
Is it D?
So you want a motion to go into non-public?
No, that's okay. That's all right, that's all right. I went down and checked it out. Yeah, I think that room should actually be closed. Tuesday. Yeah. I'll let you know if it's any different than,
Megan, you wanna call the roll?
okay. And if we hear the diesels go off, we know what to expect. Yeah, we'll hop on too. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, that's